What up, everybody, and welcome to Baz on Blades. My name is Baz, and I talk about blades, and today I'm super duper excited to bring you a review on another fine, high-end, stellar performing, super premium Ganzo Firebird product. What we've got here at the tabletop at Baz on Blades today is the Ganzo Firebird FH923. This is the latest release from Ganzo Knives. It is in the FH series, which is D2 for your blade steel, G10 for your handle scales over stainless liner lock, and you have single row steel bearings on the pivot. So I normally buy my Ganzo Firebird product at Power Cutlery. But Justin over at White Mountain Knives got this model in first, and I just had to have it because I am a trailing point super freak. So thank you to Justin at White Mountain Knives. And I think this thing, what was it? It was after Justin's 10% discount, it was $31 shipped. And I would pay $31 again for it. I love this knife. Everybody that has held and looked at this knife is like, get me one of them. I mean, literally everybody so far. It is such a cool design from Ganzo Firebird. I'm sure it would not be from somebody else, not from a Ganzo Firebird. So let's set this thing aside. We're going to take a look at the packaging here. Standard, current, contemporary Ganzo packaging. Let's see what side our label's on here. This is what you're looking for. It will, of course, be available in multiple G10 colors. But from the people that I've shown this knife to, they love the look of the black G10 on this. So we are good to go there. This is a full-size knife. It is a little bit bigger than what we typically see in the FH series. You're in a 3.5 inch blade length. That's about 8.5 centimeters. Your blade stock thickness, 135 thousandths of an inch or 3.5 millimeters. Your blade width, 1.2 inches or 31 millimeters. Handle length, 4.5 inches or 11.5 centimeters. Handle thickness, 530 thousandths of an inch or 13.5 millimeters. Handle width is the same as the blade width, 1.2 inches or 31 millimeters. Closed width, including the flipper tab, is right at 1.5 inches or 38 millimeters. Overall length, 8 inches or 20 centimeters. Stock pin diameter, 120 thousandths of an inch or 3 millimeters. Behind the edge, I'm just going to tell you right now, behind the edge on this Ganzo FH923 is the thinnest that I have ever measured on any knife at any price point. I typically, when I do behind the edge thickness, and I'm going to do a video on how to properly check behind the edge thickness. What I do is I hit with my digital calipers in 3 different places down here at the termination of the grind, somewhere in this flat area. I'll come out here in the belly, and then I'll come up to a third location at the towards the tip. And I average those out. And this knife struggled to average out as thick as 10 thousandths behind the edge. At the thickest, it was just a little bit shy of 10 thousandths, but this knife in the belly is running about 7 or 8 thousandths of an inch. It is very, very thin behind the edge and very slicey. That's average out about 0.26 millimeters. All right, your handle to blade ratio is 0.77, which is fantastic. And the weight, 4.6 ounces or 131 grams. pretty decent for this type of build with this blade stock thickness and overall size of 8 inches or 20 centimeters. There is weight relieving on both the liners. It is, just small circles, weight relief, so it's not super skeletonized or anything. 4.6 ounces in the hand feels tool-like. It feels tool-like and solid. It doesn't. It's not quite heavy feeling. So blade steel, we're looking at D2 tool steel, just like all the other FH models. D2 is a basic tool steel, high carbon, moderately high chromium content. In fact, it narrowly misses qualifying as stainless steel by about 1.5% of chromium. It also does have an amount of vanadium in it, probably for grain structure refinement, I would assume. D2, you will typically see it rock weld in commercial knives between 59 and 62 rock weld. Ganzo's D2 has been independently tested multiple times. It's always done really well. Apparently, their heat treat for D2 is pretty doggone good. I've owned a bunch of these knives. I've got excellent performance out of this D2. So what you can expect is good edge retention. It's sort of like a 2-stage trigger on an AR-15. This D2 blade will take a razor edge, which it came with. D2 will hold that razor edge a moderate amount of time. But when it goes away, what you are left with is a very, very toothy, aggressive cutting edge, chock full of big, super hard carbides that are suspended in the matrix of the steel. Just think if you went down to a microscopic level, you'd be looking at, it would look like teeth in an alligator is what it would look like. I really like D2. A lot of people don't like D2. In certain respects, it doesn't perform like modern, more complex, more developed tool steels or even the super high performing stainless steels. But for what it is, I really like D2. You get good slicey at first, and then you get super aggressive cutting after that with pretty good edge retention. And as far as corrosion resistance, like I say, it just narrowly misses qualifying as stainless. Just keep it clean and maybe use a corrosion inhibitor and you will be good to go. D2 has become the darling child of the sort of quote unquote premium budget models out there. All the manufacturers use extensive amounts of D2 in those lines, and people seem to be tiring of D2, but it is what it is. It's better than 440A. I mean, you go back 10 or 15 years in Chinese knives and you were getting 420s and 440s and 8CRs. I'd rather have D2 than any of those crap steels. Not to shit on all the crap steels. The world needs crap steel too. It makes the better steels look better, pretty much. So, material-wise in the handle, peel-ply G10 over stainless liners that, again, are weight-relieved, and you can see a little bit of that in there. Single-row stainless bearings on the pivot, all stainless small parts, screws and pivot as machine finished. The insert plate for the reversible deep carry pocket clip is polished as well as the pocket clip. As far as the pocket clip goes, it is the now sort of standard Ganzo deep carry pocket clip, although I will say, as much of a hard time as I've given this pocket clip, this is a very good example of that pocket clip. You see they've gotten it down closer to the body so it doesn't stand off of the body so much. It's a perfectly flat surface with nice width on it, so it's a nice sort of soft feel under the hands. The bend down here, the fold over is much better on this example of this pocket clip. In the hand, I can feel the pocket clip there, but I don't feel anything that would cause hot spots, and I have been carrying and using this knife for 2 weeks now. So let's see, that's it. Oh, wait a second, we got a sort of a stylized Zytail backspacer here, and we'll just roll right into fit and finish here in the handle. We'll get up close here. You guys can see how good the fit and finish is. You can see the texturing on this Peel Ply G10. You can see the finishing on your insert tab, your filler tab, your pocket clip, your small parts here. Let's look at the fit and finish on this blade. It is done in a as ground satin. It is not highly buffed. It is at the lower end of the sheen sort of rating for a satin, and I think it looks great. Satin does not always have to be super buffed. I like this as a sort of business-like, tool-like satin. Everything seems even as far as the grinds go. The primary grind, which is pretty much a full flat grind, is even on each side. You can look at the plunge there. Everything seems pretty symmetrical from the base of the grind to the tip of the blade. The secondary edge, or the secondary grind, the edge grind, is even side to side. And of course, your Firebird branding here, you know, I like the little Firebird. It's not overdone. On the back, you're going to get the standard Ganzo markings here. I could do without all that, but, you know, we're talking about a $31 knife. Fit and finish overall on this knife is as good as I've seen out of the FH series, which is very good for the price. The big change here, the big takeaway change as far as I am concerned, is the use of Peel Ply G10 for the handle scale rather than machine G10. All the previous models, for the most part, have been machine surfaced. So this is a little bit different. It actually reminds me aesthetically of an Emerson knife. A lot of the, not the design language, the characteristics, the utilitarian sort of end of the tactical design sphere on this. It reminds me a lot of work that Ernest Emerson has done for decades now. It's a very appealing looking knife to me. It's one of the most, if not the most, aggressive blade profile that I have seen from Ganzo in these knives. The handle design is aesthetically appealing. It's just, there's a lot going on in this knife that is appealing. You know, we're talking about fit and finish on it. At $31, this knife is, the fit and finish is as good as anything else of its type build across many manufacturers, and it's about a $20 cheaper price. Let's say you're going to go into Bestech's G10 D2 models, you're going to be at about the $52 price point, and here you're $20 less than that. And I think that at that price, it's just as well done as anything else. Now, let's talk about a standout on this knife, and that is the action. Everything, every aspect of the action on this knife is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Beyond perfect for this price point. I think the FH models have started out from sort of a clunky feeling ball bearing pivot, and they've refined it and refined it and refined it through some different manufacturing techniques. And this knife, the opening and closing action is totally hydraulic. There is no sensation of bearings rolling on any surface. It is the sensation as you open and close is totally hydraulic. Very, very smooth. Everything but drop shut smooth. And I think that if I backed off on the pivot, it would easily be drop shut smooth. But I have not adjusted on this knife at all since I got it. It came out of the box very clean, no feeling, no sensation of grit in the pivot, nothing. It was very clean. It was lubricated with oil, no grease. It was lubricated with oil, and it was well lubricated. In fact, not only was the pivot lubricated, the detent ball was lubricated, something you very rarely see from any manufacturer. Like I say, it has a totally hydraulic feeling, and I think one thing that Ganzo has upgraded on these knives is that they have gone to the polished liners. The polished liner surface is much, much smoother than bead blast or stone wash or anything like that, especially when you are rolling a hardened bearing across it. That hardened bearing almost seems to magnify the surface finish of the liners that it's rolling against, and you can feel that through the blade when you roll it around and open and close it. But since this is on a polished liner, it's just, I think that's just one more step in refining these knives. Love them or hate them, Ganzo, even though they are quirky in the design department, i.e. they have flat out stolen designs, or they've modified designs, or they've, squinted at a design and, whatever. I'm not going to lie, Ganzo's been, they've done that stuff. I don't know if this is an original design or not. I hope it is, because I love it. But what they have done is they have refined from when I first started reviewing just a few years ago and early Ganzos. This knife is light years beyond any of those earlier knives. This FH series they've been doing a couple of years now it is really moving forward as far as quality, refinement of manufacturing. It's a serious knife. As I said, I've carried this knife for a couple of weeks. I've used it in multiple different ways, in multiple different environments. It has performed flawlessly. Like I say, the action has been absolutely stellar. The lockup is solid in every direction, zero play. The centering, as I said, I have not touched the pivot on this thing. Look at the centering. This knife came out of the box as good as any of its competitors at double the price. And I'm not blowing that up, guys. This, at least my example, it came out of the box as perfect as you could ever hope in a Ganzo or any other knife at $30. I don't see how they're going to make these knives any better than they are. If they could do every model from now on like this to this degree consistently, the company should count themselves. I mean, that's really accomplishing something if they could do that. I look forward always to new Ganzo product, but I'm starting to look how they finally do start stretching this series out. So, action-wise, it's everything. Just Jesus. I mean, Ganzo reviews are getting to be, like I said in the sort of sneak peek of this, it's a Ganzo. This is the best one I've ever reviewed. And then the next one, wow, this is even better than the last one. It's the best one I've ever reviewed. And then you get 2 or 3 or 4 down the line and you're like, shit, man, they just keep getting better. That's really, really impressive for a knife that is just now breaking the $30 price point. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Just the total quality, not the overall quality, the total quality of this knife is amazing for the money. So we've knocked out materials, fit and finish, action. All has been stellar so far. Let's talk about ergos and utility. Bazon Blades loves him some trailing point blades. I'm going to tell you that right now. And this is a beautiful blade profile, a wonderful choice in the grind. It is a slicing machine, so thin behind the edge. You know, that average of 10 thousandths behind the edge is really stretching it, guys. It's quite a bit thinner than that. 7 or 8 thousandths up here in this belly. Any shearing motion with any rotation at all, it will just make for a devastating cut with this blade. It is a slicer. It's a slicer. And once that razor edge is gone, it's going to cut like crazy. This thing goes through cardboard. It just zips through cardboard. If your cutting motion, if your cutting mechanics are good, it just slides through cardboard. Paper, it's nothing. There's barely any sensation cutting through paper with it. This knife has been a joy to use. It's been a joy to use. Look at the tip on this thing. This is a $30 Ganzo knife. Get out of here with that. It instantly catches and pierces with just no pressure at all. Like I say, everything is consistent on this. Look at that secondary grind. Look at that secondary grind, that edge grind. That is beautiful. That's beautiful. It's a Ganzo, guys. This is not a zero tolerance or a Spyderco or anything like that. It's a damn Ganzo. Look at that. That's such an aggressive, I think the most aggressive blade profile I've seen out of Ganzo. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love that trailing point blade profile, and the performance there is outstanding. For as much belly as this profile has, look at how much straight edge it has. That's an incredible blade profile. An excellent choice on that extremely tall, basically full flat grind. Yeah, wonderful performance out of that blade. The only thing I will say is, look at this tip thickness. Although it is not paper thin out at the tip, it is still fairly thin, as this blade profile would be. So you do not want to be doing any prying with this. if you're going to pry, get a proper tool like a screwdriver. So ergonomics in the handle. As I've said, this knife reminds me a lot of the design language used by Ernest Emerson. Just tactical, and I would consider this to be sort of an aggressive, sort of tactical looking knife. Tactical, but at the more utilitarian end of the spectrum. The handle is ergonomic. It's got enough detail in it for retention. This nice big choil here. It's a big old stylized choil. But the profile is open. There's not a lot more complicated in this handle shape or profile that would restrict different grips. It's very comfortable in a forward grip. It's a very comfortable in a reverse grip with a flat tail on it to cap the tail, to butt cap it. It works for me in just about any position. It's sort of a, I wouldn't want that handle design on a fighting knife because I think the choil is a little bit too open for the retention I would want in a fighting knife. But it's sort of a jack of all trades. It's a jack of all trades. It's going to do a lot of things really well. You know what? It's just another fantastic design from Ganzo. If it is their design, again, if this is a copy of something, I'm sorry, guys. It's just freaking Ganzo. Okay, it's a $30 Ganzo. I hope it's not a copy. When they do something this good, I want it to be an original for them. I want this company to be successful with original designs so they stop copying other designs. That's what we should want. This company is given a quality level beyond what anybody else, as far as I know. For the most part, there's some other good brands out there at this price point. But Ganzo is given a quality that outweighs their price point. And I would like to see them be more original and garner attention for that rather than copying other knives. I hope this is an original design. It's a really, it's just, I don't know. It's, of course it appeals to me on a personal level. It's so smooth. It is so smooth. So very smooth. And I love that they went 3.5 inches with that blade. This blade profile and grind is fantastic at 3.5 inches. It would be good 3.5 to 3.75, right at 4 inches. Fantastic blade profile for that. But at 8 inches overall with a 3.5 inch blade, it's a pretty good sweet spot for a knife, a large sort of EDC type of knife. Yeah, I don't want to get into just gushing on and on and on and on about it, but we've been through materials, fit and finish, action, the ergo's utility of this knife, and it's been stellar in every one of those categories. I have a hard time separating the subjective and objective in this review because the objective points are so well done that they sort of transcend to the subjective for me because I like them so much. It's just one of those designs that it sort of has come together. It's got the look. It's got the ergonomics that we demand in a working knife. It's got the quality, the fit and finish, the action. I mean, this knife is butter smooth with no adjustments at all. And that blade. That's reason enough to buy this knife right there. All right. The Ganzo Firebird FH923. Not only am I going to recommend it, I'm going to super duper recommend it because I like to say super duper. So, as always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch one of my videos. God bless all of you, and we will talk to you again.